Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GSMC Football Podcast. You're brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, as always, Jeff Malinoff, and with me once again is Mark Souza. We have a lot to talk about in the world of football, mostly Monday Night Football between the Texans and the Titans, as well as failures in the NFL and what to do to avoid them for next season, as well as any other news and notes about college football playoffs. I was getting to that, and then more on the final segment. Whatever we missed, we will cover. And so let's start with Monday Night Football. The Texans win their 8th straight as they handled the Titans 34-17 with a little help from Lamar Miller.
Absolutely. 97-yard touchdown run. Really changed the game last night. This coming after a key 4th down stop at the 3-yard line by the Houston Texans defense. That really changed the game.
I do enjoy a team going forward on that 3-yard line, though.
Instead
of just kicking the field goal. Because
I love it.
In theory, you don't expect them to do a 97-yard touchdown. You're like, okay, we can hold them to a safety if worst comes to worst.
I think going for it was the right move. The play call, however, giving the ball to your tight end who has no carries in his career, now that is questionable.
Questionable or genius?
You know, they got this guy named Derrick Henry who is a big, bruising, short yardage back, and they don't give him the ball.
He's a Heisman Trophy winner.
And they don't give him the ball to get 1 yard. Didn't you find that a little bit weird?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Even Mariota. I mean, Mariota's a nimble player.
That is Henry's bread and butter.
I envision them doing maybe a read option or something like that with Henry where they can slam it up the middle or Mariota can keep it and go around the edge. I did not expect that Luke Stalker would be given the ball at the 3-yard line where everybody and their brother and their mother knew that they were going to run the football. Who knew?
Yeah.
Yes, but
running the ball on a very obvious play to run the ball.
How does Mariota go 22-23 and their team loses by 17 points? That is a crazy stat.
Yeah, that is a crazy stat, no doubt about it. And I think the main thing about that is you can just tell one team was better than the other. You know, it's not like, oh, any team could win this game. We kind of figured the Texans were going to win this game.
We did, but the Titans started out really hot. I mean, it was, 10-0 before the Texans had even started sweating last night. 10-0 before the Texans had gotten to a groove of a football game last night.
Yeah, but my main thing is how you finish.
Absolutely.
I've said that once. I'll say it a million more times. It's how you finish, and they did not finish this game.
No, they did not. And I was thinking, wow, at the beginning of that game, I was thinking, wow, the Titans really came to play. Jonnu Smith, that touchdown reception, 61-yard scamper by him. I thought that was a nice little play. I was like, wow, Tennessee, they're up for this game. Mike Vrabel, they have a nice little game plan going. But man, was I wrong. The Titans could not figure out how to run the football effectively last night. And the Texans present a challenge, of course, as they are one of the better rushing defenses in the NFL. But were you surprised that they didn't really have a lot of imagination in their running attack, Jeff?
No imagination in their running attack.
Just seemed like it was they didn't have a plan.
They barely ran the ball, and I think that is a travesty to both Henry and especially Dion Lewis, who deserves more of the running game and deserves more of the ball. So yeah, that was a huge mistake on their part.
It just seemed like their running attack was, we're going to try and run the ball up the middle. And I don't think that's the best approach against the Houston Texans. I think you kind of have to get on the edge, maybe use some misdirection. You know, we saw the Texans run the ball very effectively, but they mixed it up. Well, Lamar Miller had a great game. A lot of his runs, he wasn't even contacted until 3, 4, 5 yards down the field. Hole after hole was created, and a lot of it had to do with play calling. You saw the Titans defenders kind of on roller skates all night. They couldn't tell which lane, which hole that the Texans were going to be running through. The threat of the read option with Deshaun Watson really kept those linebackers at bay until it was too late, and they're chasing Lamar Miller. But what did you see on that long touchdown run by Miller? 97 yards.
97 yards. It's not the first time he's done that either. It's the second time.
That's crazy.
He did it in 2014 with Miami against the Jets, and now he's done it again against the Titans. And I think this was Lamar Miller has these breakout game every couple of years. It's like an eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
And 162 yards on a touchdown for him is pretty darn good. And if you trusted him in your fantasy team too, you really are rewarded with this effort.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the bottom line is this Texans team looks to be the real deal.
I think so.
This team can make the playoffs. No, I mean not just make the playoffs, make noise in the playoffs.
Last night's win really solidified their chances of not just making the playoffs, but winning their division as they moved to 8-3. They're on an 8-game winning streak, Jeff. There's only one team in the NFL who has a longer winning streak than the Houston Texans. Do you know who that team is?
Well, it has to be only one team, and that's the best team in football, the New Orleans Saints.
So if the Saints are the best team in football, the Texans 8-game, I know they've done it quietly, this 8-game win streak. They've done it really under the radar. We haven't really talked about them. When you were at Thanksgiving with your family this last week, did you say, hey, Dad, have you seen those Texans? They're pretty good, huh? Because I didn't.
I don't talk to my father.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do.
They're just a team that hasn't been talked about.
We didn't talk about the Texans. We talked about a lot about just what's happening at the games, like Dallas and Washington.
The teams that were playing on Thursday?
Yes, exactly my point.
Yeah, same with me. But the Texans haven't been getting a lot of buzz. We've seen the Chiefs, the Rams, the Saints.
The thing is with the Texans, they're always under the radar. If they could go 16-0 and they'd still be under the radar.
I think a lot of people forget, too, how good they were last year before Watson tore his ACL in practice. I mean, the kid was on fire last year. He was doing what Patrick Mahomes is doing this year. That was Deshaun last year before he got hurt, 300-yard passing, 400-yard passing, 4 or 5 touchdowns. Long passes to Hopkins, to Fuller. They were just a fun team, a winning team last year. Then Watson goes down, brutal injury in practice of all places, a tear your ACL. That really derailed their season. But man, this team is getting stronger and stronger as the weeks go on.
They are doing steroids, you know what I mean?
No.
You know what I mean? They're taking gamma rays, they're becoming the Hulk. They're lifting up heavy buildings, and they're making some noise.
And the Titans,
they're yelling Hulk smash.
The Titans have been inconsistent, but this is a team that just beat the Patriots, and they really smacked the Patriots in that win.
That's what I meant about the Texans, is that they're this good. That's how good they are.
So if you had to rank the Texans right now in the AFC, not based on standings, but based on power rankings, where you see them...
The AFC?
Yeah, just in the AFC. Where do you put them?
I'm going to put them second.
Second. So you're going to put them behind the Chiefs?
Yes, and in front of the Patriots.
And Steelers?
And Steelers.
And Chargers?
And Chargers.
Wow. That's pretty high.
That's how
you're
good
a believer.
I am a believer. And then I saw her face.
Yeah.
And now I'm a believer. Not a trance. A doubt in my mind.
So what made you?
I'm in love.
Was it the Lamar Miller 97-yarder last night that you're like,
Jesus?
You're like,
scared them.
The Texans are ready.
You
jumped up and you smacked the table. You went.
You scared the bejesus out of me.
Is that what happened though? You smacked the table and you're like, the Texans are the second best team.
No, I was watching them all after their 8-game winning streak. Showing me like, wow, this team could beat anybody at any given day.
Neither of us put them in our top 5 power rankings before. We haven't done it in a couple weeks, but I expect maybe they might be in there now if we redid those.
Yes, and you would not like my my comments because I would keep commenting on how good that the Texans are.
I would agree. The Texans are on fire. And what I like about the Texans is that I still think that they're not a finished product. I think that teams like the Chiefs, the Patriots, even the Saints, I think we've seen their best. Like I think this is their team. The Rams and maybe the Texans are 2 teams that I'm not sure we've seen their best yet. And I say that about the Rams because their defense. Their defense hasn't been up to par. Aqib Talib will be coming back. That should make a big difference. But for the Texans, I think it took some time for Deshaun Watson to get back to his form from last season. I still don't know if he's there yet, but with each passing week, he seems to be closer and closer. I don't really know if Demaryius Thomas will be an impactful player for them, but he's at least a goal line or a red zone type of receiver, as we saw last night with 2 touchdowns. And man, Hopkins and Deshaun Watson, that's a really, really deadly combo.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So I don't know if we've seen the best of the Texans yet. I still think they could be an ascending team. And I saw last night's press conference with Bill O'Brien after the game. He said, no disrespect, but I don't really think we've accomplished anything yet. We haven't really done anything. And I'm with him there. And the Texans kind of, to me, look like that team that's out to prove a lot of stuff. And I think that is led by J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt is out to prove that he's still one of the best defensive players in the NFL after suffering through some injuries. Former MVP, defensive MVP. I think that the team has kind of taken on that from their leader in J.J. Watt. So with Watt and Watson trying to prove themselves.
It's contagious, you're saying?
Well, with Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt, there are 2 guys trying to prove the doubters wrong in different ways. Deshaun Watson's trying to prove that he's a upper echelon quarterback. And remember, some people didn't believe in the talent coming out of college. We all made fun of Dabo Swinney when he said that Deshaun Watson's a Michael Jordan of football, right? We all made fun of Dabo Swinney when he said that. But
yep.
Then he comes in and he lights up the league last year. And then we're like, wow, he might be a pretty special player. And then he gets hurt. And now he comes back.
Yeah, it's almost unfair, really. To like not like people like, oh, he's not what they say he is. He got injured. It's not his fault. It's just an unfair circumstance.
Yeah. I mean, I think most people, even the doubters after he started tearing it up last year, were like, wow, this kid actually is... He might actually be something special, whereas...
Yeah, and then they started the season kind of rough this year. And I think that's what really made it like, oh, maybe this is not as good as everyone says he is. But it's not fair because he started off...
He was still coming back.
Yeah, exactly. The ACL is no joke.
No joke at all. I mean, we still see it with Carson Wentz, right? Like, Carson Wentz still doesn't look like he's fully back from that injury.
Which is really disappointing because he had an MVP contender type year.
Oh yeah, he was the MVP when he got hurt. I think that was.
They were 10-1 by this point.
Yeah, last year Carson Wentz, I'm pretty sure, was the MVP when he got hurt. He didn't win, and it went to Brady. But yeah, if he maintained his level of production, he would have won easily. He was a story last year. But Watson was on a similar trajectory last year until he got hurt. But yeah, I really like where the Texans are going. I like where they are now. I think they're one of the better teams in the NFL. I can confidently say they're one of the top 5, top 6 teams. But I don't think we're seeing a finished product. And that
means they can only get better.
That's just exciting. That's exciting for the league. That's exciting for the fans. That's awesome for Texans fans. I mean, think about that. You start off 0-3. You're like, man, this Deshaun kid, he's good, but I don't know if our team
let me
is gonna
ask
be
you
back.
something. If you're like a fan of the Detroit Lions or Cleveland Browns, a team that hasn't won a Super Bowl ever or made an appearance in one, and this team is making noise and it's only been around since 2002, are you frustrated?
If I'm a Lions fan or a Browns fan, I'm just frustrated. Like I don't even need to see another team, you know. But I see what you're saying. Yes, I would say that if I was a Lions fan, I'd be even more frustrated because I actually feel like the Browns have something with Baker Mayfield, and that's a big deal. I don't know if the Lions are ever going to win with Matt Stafford, and I feel like they're kind of just married to each other for the next few years.
Understandable. I'm just pointing that out because, like I said, this team just started in 2002, so it's relatively young.
Right.
And this team's already making so much noise.
Yeah, and hey, if you got Deshaun Watson playing like this, they have a chance to be relevant for the next 10 years.
Absolutely, 100%.
I mean, they really do. What is he, 23, 24 years old?
He's my age. He's 23.
Yeah, so he's 23.
Which, thanks world for that. Thanks gods or whoever gives height to people. I really appreciate that. I blame my parents for my height, but also you gotta blame the people that the fates out there. Come on, really? I'm 5'8", 100 and nothing, and this guy's.
It sounds like the quote from Rudy. You're 5'4", 100 and whatever pounds. Not a lick of athleticism. What does the groundskeeper say? Something like that.
I know what you're talking about, and it hurts because it's too real to the heart. And I don't live near Notre Dame, so I couldn't have done what he did.
Right? So let's talk about the Titans.
Right.
Are they a playoff team? Right now they're out if the playoffs started right now, but they're only a game behind the Ravens and the Colts.
I'm going to say they're not a playoff team.
This team is like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. They every week it's something different with the Titans. They look like world beaters one week, and then they are very mortal the next week. I don't get it.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I like the reference.
So they
explain to our younger viewers who Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are.
I don't need to explain that. You just need to understand the quote, the phrase, and that is, one week they can beat the New England Patriots and look like, wow, this is a playoff team, and then the next 2 weeks it's get dominated by the Colts and get dominated by the Texans, and then you're like, oh, maybe this team isn't good. We don't know what this team is with Tennessee. Are they good or are they not good?
I don't understand the world anymore. Explain what this is.
I don't know where they were. Like I could see a power ranking with them being in the top 10, and I could see one with them being in the bottom 10. Like I literally don't know what they are.
God works in mysterious ways.
I guess so.
The football gods work in mysterious ways.
Maybe it's Mariota's mustache. Maybe he needs to get rid of that. I don't know if they've won.
Or maybe just get rid of him entirely.
Jury's still out.
Okay.
Jury's still out. If you're a Titans fan, though, are you thinking today that Mariota was the right decision?
It's still, I don't know, because he's had some flashy games, but more often than not, he's kind of non-existent.
I had this thought last night watching the game. I want to know if you agree.
Okay.
Because Mariota was very accurate last night. He had one incompletion, okay? But also his team scored 17 points, and they never really had a chance to win the game, which is a weird thing to say. I found myself saying Mariota looks like this generation's version of Alex Smith. A very conservative quarterback.
This generation's Alex Smith.
Yeah, he has a little bit of running ability. He can move, but he's not a runner. He's not a traditional pocket passer either. He just kind of seems like a guy to me. An average quarterback. What do you think about that? Do you think I'm way off here?
Not entirely. I can see where you're getting at.
And also, I think that Mariota's the type of quarterback who, if he had a guy like Jim Harbaugh, could become really good. Like the same way that Alex Smith became really good when he got Jim Harbaugh. I just feel like both guys are very smart people, smart quarterbacks, and that could learn a lot from great coaching.
I see where you're getting at, and I I can see
both are good players. Like they're good guys, right? They're like good locker room guys.
I can see the comparisons absolutely, but I think the main thing about this is one when